want to do it. We do some breathing and he's like, fine. So this is an invaluable tool that we have to teach everybody, really. So would you like to do a few?
Yeah.
Okay. So with the meditative, you would be laying down, right? And it would be more of like a 30-minute, 45-hour-long session with me. And you kind of go into like a little bit of a different like wavelength on there, okay? With integrative, which is what I'm going to do with you right now, you can do this if you're sitting in your car, at work, at your desk. If you are at home, you just had a really frustrating fight with someone or words, just go do like a minute of integrative breath work. It will literally revitalize you. If you're feeling tired, lethargic, do some of that. So I'm going to give you some different patterns that you can do, some breathing patterns. So Halo Active is just a very like natural, it's more of like a natural breath pattern. It's an inhale through the nose, and then the exhale is just with an open mouth through the mouth. Okay, so yeah, like, yeah, did you hear that? So do you feel when you physically do the sigh? It's called tonation, and the reason for that is it really helps with the throat chakra, like kind of opening that up. But when you let out that sigh, I'm like always telling people scream. Like I'll be at home sometimes and just do a right? Like just like you have to get it out, like you're super frustrated. So those are good. That's a good sign. Just let it out. We're all like way too self-conscious about how we look and sound when we do stuff, right?
Disclaimer, if you're in your car, make sure you're still paying attention to the road.
Yes, I'm sorry. Don't just pay attention, but you can sitting at a light, right? Or something like that, or in traffic. Breath work's great for traffic when you're getting anxious and things like that. So Halo Active is just in through the nose, out through an open mouth, and you just kind of cycle it through and just keep that going. And that's usually where I start my sessions with people when we're on the floor, because it just starts to really relax the body. And so another thing I just want you to just consider right now, like close your eyes, and I just want you to start to just really feel into the body as you do that Halo Active breathing. So you're deep breathing in through the nose, and then you're breathing out through the mouth. Okay, now just keep that going as I talk. So one of the things we know about the breath, the inhale is important, right? But that exhale is super duper important, right? So that exhale needs to be sustained and intentional. And if we can actually make that exhale longer than the inhale, that's actually really down regulating the system, right? So if our system is in that parasympathetic is in like fight or flight mode, when we take those inhales but those really long exhales and we extend that exhale out at the bottom, so when you think you're done exhaling, you keep going, that is literally taking our parasympathetic and just down regulating it. So I want you to just keep doing that with that focus as you're just sort of scanning the body, starting at the top of your head, just sort of letting just this gentle like wave of light flow down in between the eyes, down through the nose, the mouth. There you go. Just kind of feeling your body as you're breathing, seeing how different it feels than maybe before we started this practice. And just asking yourself as you're scanning the body where you're feeling any tension, any stress, maybe any denseness, and letting that breath just kind of go to those places. Good. So now just slowly open your eyes. So what does that feel like differently than when you started?
Well, I definitely feel less tension on the left side of my lower back, where I have a lot of my tension most of the time.
Okay.
It was interesting because the first few breaths I was a little bit nauseous on the exhale. And once that regulated itself and I felt not much easier, obviously, other than I am more relaxed, I will admit that I was having the most problems, but this is because I'm very in tune with my body. I was having trouble regulating the breathing through my stomach on the inhale through my nose and through the upper part of my chest. It was like trading off.
Okay.
And I was focusing, I was trying so hard to fill my belly, aka diaphragm, however we want to word it, rather than the top of my chest.
Can you breathe in from the belly and let it flow up to the chest? Can you start, like those breathing things you do, like people do in the hospital for lung capacity? I always liken it to that, the way that little thing moves. Can you kind of like act like it's moving up and then out? Do you know what I mean? Like almost picture that, like picture maybe like a little light or something that just kind of comes up and out.
Yeah.
That's sort of a nice, but like your voice is very different when you opened your eyes, like just everything down regulates. And all we did was 30 seconds, dude. So
You're getting things done. No.
Yeah. Micro habits, right. And it builds a sense of self-confidence too, right? You get a winning streak. And even multiple studies have shown that even 5 minutes a day of meditation, breath work, even 5 minutes a day of that starts to change the way that your brain fires and wires. And this goes back to how so much of this game is about being stronger than our conditioning. And so much of the conditioning is, it's upbringing, and it's also society. There's a lot that's coming at us, especially with all the media. So it really takes, first of all, I guess it takes a bit of awareness just to start, and then sort of meeting yourself where you're at and connecting with like-minded people too can be really helpful. People who are interested in becoming more aware and changing.
You mentioned awareness, and it's like you literally took the next kind of segue question I was going to lead with. And again, we talked about this. Awareness, like how can you, I guess I'll use the term be self-aware to say, I'm going to pursue something. When do I, Pearlman quotation fingers, when do I give up? When do I say, I might not be as good as I think I am? And when do you kind of settle? I want to bring up this like very rational kind of self-aware type question, because some people blindly go at something. I mean, it kind of, I don't know. I guess the only parody I could think of right now, or analogy I could think of, is like Beverly Hills Ninja. Like Chris Farley obviously wasn't a karate master, and his sensei was very disappointed in him. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there trying to make music who might not be as talented as, they think they are.
But do they love doing it? If you love doing it, that is showing up for yourself.
Yeah.
And the world needs more people who are showing up for what they love to do. And maybe it won't make you money. That's where we get to be resourceful and innovative and creative. If you love making music, don't let anybody or anything tell you not to do it. I don't care what it is. If it's something that you love, you need to be doing what you love, because it raises your frequency.
Yeah.
When you are doing things that you love, you send out a wave to people around you. You feel better. You lower your cortisol. You get the elevated chemicals in the body, dopamine, all that. So you have to do what you love. And yeah, I get it. It's hard when we think about the money thing. And the more we think that the money thing is hard, the harder it gets. So it's a game. It's all a game. And it's like, how do you want to play this game? And ultimately, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be as you're navigating this life? Do you want to be stressed out? Do you want to be resentful? Do you want to be bitter? Do you want to feel like you're a victim your whole life? Or do you want to feel like you're overcoming your stuff and leaning more into what you love?
Amen. I mean, seriously, no, the passion. I guess, all right, so there's two things. One is, I'm with you. I think that
find some peace within. Oh my God, it's been amazing.
It's interesting talking about taking the journaling course and all these, you said all these aspects of, what you said all the aspects of inner peace? No. What did you say?
The inner critic.
The inner critic, okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned all the aspects of the inner critic. Now, I'm very skeptical to a fault. It's my biggest downfall, like that I can openly say to everybody, out there. They're all going to hear this. I'm very pessimistic, and I'm skeptical of other people that I think are trying to take advantage of me. And the thing is, you bringing that up, because just speaking to you about that and me reflecting back on some various stages of my life, being around people that you think are, trying to take advantage, are actually just the things you need to hear to find out things about yourself, to open up, to create a more like open-minded, sense of thinking that can lead to self-healing, which then you can continue to pursue your passion. And you just saying that is, you know, I needed to hear that, you know.
There's always something to learn, especially, and I would get so jealous too. I would get so jealous. And then once I learned that, you know, jealousy is again, it's a mirror. Anything that we experience, it's a mirror that we can learn from. So if I was jealous of somebody, it meant that they had something that I didn't think that I could have, right? Or that I didn't feel like I was ever worthy of getting or something. So like taking that as information, and man, it's hard. It's not easy work to look at those shadows, but man, it just changes everything. It really does. Yeah, always something to learn.
Now I'm thinking you're Joanna Read. You went into the wild and you didn't die of poisonous berries.
No, but I did. I saw his bus. I went to Alaska on a Kickstarter. This is my art paid for. Yeah, it was great. It's great. It's really happy.
A Kickstarter? Wait, not like a moped. We're talking about like a piece of art you sold?
Oh yeah, I did an art Kickstarter. I didn't. That would have been cool.
I was like, I could see you be like,
yeah.
I hit my stick again. Like,
yeah.
You know, and I drove to Alaska.
Oh God, that has been a dream at one point. Maybe that'll.
I just picture like Jim Carrey and I think Daniels and Dumb and Dumber riding around on each other, stuck in the frozen. Oh no, but in the United States, if you had to tell, like, if people are like, I want to travel, I want to go somewhere, where are they going? Where is Joanna going to tell them? Where should we experience?
Oh, you gotta go inside. Like, you gotta go here and check in. Like, where you want to go that brings you alive may be very different than where I want to go. So,
that's why you're a guest on the podcast. Who else would have said that? Even I would have been like, I know she's going to say Oregon in the mountains because like that's where I want to go, and we're so alike. Forget going to Vancouver and Oregon where it all meets up there at the highest peak.
Right.
Nope.
Seriously though, like just taking some time to see, like, because so much of my life I was just living for other people, living like what I thought I was supposed to do, but not checking in with what I actually wanted. And that, you know, it takes some time. And it's just like we can build that core in CrossFit. I'm doing we never do these. What are these curls? By some
curls for the girls.
Yeah, curls for the girls. But it's the same thing. We can build this muscle. We can build this muscle of connecting with our hearts and our intuition and that which brings us alive. And I just wanted, if I can speak to this quickly.
Please.
I work a lot with people who say like, well, I just don't really know what brings me alive. I don't know what brings me joy. And I don't really know what I love to do. And then they start to internalize it and beat themselves up about it. Like there's something wrong with them. And I just wanted to speak to that because I realize you're seeing this person here that's really jubilant, and it hasn't always been this way. It hasn't always been this way. It's taken work, and it's taken a lot of just trying things out. And it's really good information to try something to know that, you don't really like it so much. So I want to just offer the invitation to let go of like needing to do anything perfectly. And often we get blocked as kids around the things that we love to do, either a teacher or a parental figure or someone in our life, and maybe of no intention by their own, but maybe it's something really traumatizing. But there's often stuff that happens that blocks us down from the things that we love to do, like the child who loved to sing and then someone shut them up, never sang again, right? All this stuff. So I work with people on sort of uncovering and removing those blocks, it's beautiful. And it just starts with doing small little things like, do you like eating raspberries? Spend the $4.50 and get the organic raspberries because they bring you joy. I know it sounds silly, but the more you start to look for things that bring you joy, the more you'll get that. And it just sort of like, it doesn't need to be like this big.
I mean, it's incredible. Like literally you saying that, I thought back to, I think 7th or 8th grade when my teacher told me that she couldn't help me with math because I was too far behind. And I threw the book in the trash can and walked out and was like so angry. And I think of how long it took for me to prove her fucking wrong. Yeah. You talked about I mean, see it, I've experienced it, I've lived it. Oh no, I don't want to get that. That's too much money. We're not talking about hundreds of dollars, literally. The difference between $2.50 raspberries, but $4.50 amazing raspberries that are better for you, that you might just bite into and give you a sense of satisfaction that will lead you to a thought that creates passion, that creates creativity.
Yeah.
Even after you told her the protocols and she's like, what should I do? What's the first thing I'm going to do tomorrow to be that healthier version of me so I can live like the way Alicia lives? Really?
So we touched on it a little bit, but I would say the water intake is huge because that's helping our organs filter out the things they need to filter out. And also it's good for our blood to have like a really well hydrated body. And so our blood doesn't get thick. And so it keeps everything functioning really well. So hydrating, I go by the rule of thumb where if you're like active, but you're not running like marathons every day, but like half of your body weight in fluid ounces. So I'm like around 120 pounds. So I make sure that I drink 60 ounces of water every day. Mm-hmm. And if it's a day that I tend to maybe have a coffee or CrossFit or, go for a longer run, I might drink a little more than that, but water's huge. So I would make sure that that particular mom was watching her water consumption. And then I always tell people that it goes right back to what you said, like these little tiny incremental shifts. I call them like micro shifts, but like now it's coming, people are talking more about habit stacking, but creating these little rituals throughout your day that become just that they're, it's like when you wake up in the morning and go brush your teeth, like that's a healthy habit. You want to try and find these things that are almost like a trigger. So to do it. Like when you get up out of bed, you brush your teeth. Or for instance, like when you go into your kitchen, you have a little canister on your countertop that has your supplements in it. So you see it every time you go into the kitchen. And so, because supplements are things that people forget to take every day because they're in a cabinet. So if you put them somewhere where you can see them, then, throughout the day, you can take your little bit here and there. But like these little tiny shifts that become just normal life for you. And I always, working with women in general, they have their things that make them happy that they don't want to give up. So I'm a huge fan of like, you don't have to give up those things, like add in a healthy habit. And then once you start to feel better, you'll kind of, unless it's smoking, if you're smoking cigarettes, I'm gonna tell you to quit smoking. But like if you're eating a cookie every night after dinner, like it's fine. But I think like, honestly, in the beginning it is like, you don't want to just like overhaul your life. That's not sustainable. So you start with like, keep your cookie, but like in the morning, make sure you're drinking your water with lemon first thing, like add that healthy habit in. And then after a couple of weeks, you'll be like, oh, I'm feeling good. Like, all right, let's do something else. Let's like add a salad at lunchtime. If you're not eating leafy greens, like add a salad, start adding healthy things and you'll start to feel better. And then you can slowly take away the unhealthy things.
It's interesting. That's why I made that reaction to the cookie. I found with most of the people I work with, it is always that cheat or treat gets them in trouble because they haven't been able to, and it's not weaning off, because you can wean off of carbohydrates, you can wean off of like complex carbs, eat less rice, don't eat pizza, switch to a cauliflower, kind of crust now that option exists. You could do that, but it's like the sweets. I mean, they are, and it's not just me personally. I've seen it time and time again. It's a trap, it's like Star Wars. It's a trap. And
it's true. Yeah.
They just it's like a slippery slope. Mm-hmm. It actually reminds me of, Dr. Joel Kahn. Mm-hmm. He's like the plant-based, guru, one of the top ones. Anyways, very respected author, right? And he always talks about, he's like, man, he goes, what does he say? In moderation is a slippery slope.
Yeah.
And that's why like the little thing that I do different is when I see people making these micro shifts or micro changes, these better habits, I'm always worried about like giving the green light, like, hey, if you like a little ice cream, you like a cookie, I almost want to be like, if you can't give that up now, for like 3 months or something, then I feel like they won't make it. But I don't know.
Well, I agree with there comes a point where you do, like if you're eating that every night, you do have to give that up for sure. But I think mentally to wrap your mind around, especially for moms and women, like no offense to like the guys, but like we give so much of ourselves every single day to like our kids. And sometimes it's that one little thing that like it's for us and we just look forward to it and it's like, I just want that. You know what I mean? Like, so that's why, and I mostly do work with women and moms. So they're always excited when I'm like, you don't have to like give that up yet. Like just, add these healthy pieces first. You'll start to feel a difference. You'll start to feel better. And then we'll like cut that back to like, smaller portion. And then eventually it will disappear.
That's the thing. It's like, don't go to Dr. Pearlman. He won't let you have your cookie.
No.
Go find Alicia. She'll wean you off that cookie, right?
Eventually I'm going to tell you to stop eating the cookie, but not right away.
And then you'll be nibbling on celery and making celery juice every day.
Especially if they have what we call SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Many of these folks, when they take probiotics, or they take fermented foods, they produce enough gas to fill the Goodyear blimp. I mean, they just feel miserable. Really help heal that gut.
Preventative medicine.
That's exactly right. That's the best form.
You have to be a student for the rest of your life. And that's one of the reasons that I think we get along so well is we hold, maybe not each other, right, but ourselves, of course, accountable for continuing to read and study information and figure out why and how to affect these, greater, mechanisms in the body and these physiological interactions.